Hey everybody, Sean and Mary here from Garden to Table. We just want to take you along on this process that we have for making pig lard. We were blessed with a 650 pound pig the other day, dressed out to about 250 pounds, and of course a pig that large has a lot of fat in it. So this is not the leaf lard that you use for premium pastry cooking. This is just the general fat that's found throughout the body of the pig. It's a beautiful pink color. It makes some really nice lard. This is what it turns into. It's excellent for any kind of frying, including deep frying, and lasts a really good long time. It has a really good shelf life. We have some that we're finishing up that we made 2 years ago. It still tastes delicious. The jars seal perfectly when you fill them when they're hot. So what you basically want to do is we freeze everything before we start processing. That way, if there should be any parasites or anything in the meat, first we soak it in a salt vinegar brine mix for a day or two to draw out any impurities that might be in it, and then we'll freeze it. So when you're doing lard, it's better if it's mostly frozen. That way, of course, it goes into the bag in chunks, so it's already cut into pieces. But rather than trying to grind it and make it really small, so you get a finer material to make your lard out of, you can just take the chunks and you slice it nice and thin like this, and when they hit that pot and start melting, they break up into really small pieces. And then you take them over here. These Danko knives are awesome, very sharp, they hold an edge very well. Just slice them a little bit more, and then you're going to drop them in your pots. We're using 2 pots so we can speed up the process better, because it's an all-day process to make lard. So you'll drop them in here. You put in just enough to do the bottom layer, and you'll slowly bring it up to temperature to where it starts getting soft. Show the inside pot. So you see where the lard is starting to melt. You're just going to keep that real slow until you start getting a liquid base in there. And then as your pots get fuller, you can crank it up just a little bit, but you want to keep it as low as possible so you don't burn the oil. And then we're going to take you along as we get all of this processed and put into the pots and bring it up to boil. We'll come back to you and we'll show you what our next step is. So we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Hi, I'm here cutting lard, or fat for our lard.
And your name is?
Mary.
Okay. Yes, we have moved along here. We've got most of the lard cut up. When it's frozen, it cuts so much better. You can slice it really thin, and because you want it in there as small as possible. The other thing too is watch out for these. One of the reasons I like to do it frozen is because these will show up. They're little glands, and the bigger the pig is, the more of these will show up. We got most of them out when we were processing, but a few will sneak through now and then. So you're moving over here. You're looking at the lard. It's starting to melt down a little bit. You want to keep it really slow. We're cooking on 2 on an electric stove, trying to get it to boil down a little bit. You want at least an inch of juice in the bottom of that before you start adding any more. You basically just want enough in there to melt it down, so you keep the rest piled up to where you can add it in there. So we're doing that today, and Miss Mary just made us some wonderful homemade bread in a Zojirushi bread maker. That is delicious. And then after that, we are going to be making deer pig sausage today with our grinder. Miss Mary said this was some of the best sausage she's had since she was a child. And after that, we're going to be smoking deer bacon. We got this recipe from Danny and Wanda, and it looked really good. And then we got 25 pounds of bacon off of 1/2 of this pig, and it is in the brine now doing the cure. So you can follow us along, and hopefully it'll all turn out wonderful, and hopefully we can bless you and you can learn some.
Till next time.
Thank you so much. Okay, everybody, so we're back here in the lard production factory. you see that after about 2 hours, the fat is starting to break down, and the water content is boiling out while the oil content is leaving the fat. When this is all done, these will be tiny little crunchies that we call, what do we call those? Cracklings. Yeah, we call them cracklings. They are great for making cornbread and like toppings on green bean casserole and everything. They're really yummy. A little salt and pepper goes a long way, I might say. So we got a little bit left. You don't want to put in too much at once. You want to get a good oil level content going in here before you start cooling it back down again. And once you do that, you just add a little bit at a time. If it goes to stop bubbling, you turn up the heat a little bit until you get the rest of your fat in. And we will be back shortly with some more. Okay guys, we're back. It's been about 3.5 hours now. As you can see, the fat is cooking down beautifully, nice and clean. We're keeping it in 2 containers so we can keep the heat transference low to the burners. Probably another hour of cooking. We will combine the 2 together and finish shrinking it down. After that, we will separate the cracklings from the pure oil and let the water finish coming out of it, and then we'll be jarring it up. So we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Okay guys, we're back. It's been about 5.5 hours now. What I've done is I've taken all of the fat that's still remaining and put it in a smaller pot. You do want to leave a little oil in there so you don't burn it when you're putting it in. And this oil here, all of the moisture is gone out of it now, so it is ready to start ladling out into quart jars for storage. You definitely want to keep it on a low heat. You just want a barely bubble to keep from burning your oil. So that's really the secret, is not to burn it. So it will come out just wonderful, and we'll be back soon. Thanks. Okay, so I don't heat my jars or anything. What I do is I just put a little bit in at a time so the jar can come up to temperature. I would not try to fill it all the way. I use a really super fine strainer, and it works very well for keeping the oils clean. And then on the cracklings over here, you can get a really sharp spatula like this. Once your cracklings start getting brown, you can go in here and start chopping them apart, and that helps them just come out a little finer, and it helps to push the oils out of the fat as you're cooking it down. It kind of speeds up the process there. So we'll talk again soon. Thank you. All right, guys. So we finished with the lard. We moved all of the cracklings over into the cast iron skillet to finish chopping them up with the spatula. And so they're really nice and crunchy. We'll let them dry and cool a little bit. When you get ready to use them, you put them in a bullet or a blender or something like that, the amount you want to use, and chop them as fine as you want. But the second batch, where you have to finish the cracklings, it's going to be a little darker oil. That is what we use for doing our deep frying, and the nice pure clean oil is what we do our regular cooking with. And this is what it will look like tomorrow after it's cooled for 24 hours. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it'll do you some good. We welcome your questions if you have any. Would love to answer them. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day. Thank you.